everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of From Hope to Glory at Truro City with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So the last month of games has been pretty good to us. We have lost a couple more league games, which means we've just dropped off the pace a little bit from where we were, but actually it's not a problem at all. From where we were supposed to be at this point in the season, we're doing magnificently well still, and we are through in both of our cup competitions as well. We've made it through to the first round proper in the FA Cup, which is fantastic, and we've got Swindon, I think it's Swindon, who are in League 2, so a step up in class from where we are currently, so that'll be an interesting game in a few matches time. But for today we switch our attention back to the league and for Chesterfield, who currently sit in second position. So here is that run of games that I spoke about in the introduction. There are a couple of losses in there. Boston United and Bromley both beat us. The Boston game was one of those, like slightly earlier in the season when we played Ep3, where we showed up for the game. We were away from home and we just never got anywhere near playing well enough at all to do anything. In the Bromley match, I thought we were very unlucky. We capitulated a little bit. We went off into a bit of an early lead, and then late in the game they came back into it and stole the points away from us, which was a bit disappointing. But you can see that we're scoring bucket loads of goals here and there, and mostly we're keeping a few clean sheets around the place as well. So it's not too bad at all, really, in terms of our form. And the form has led us to be sitting in 7th position in the league, which, considering the media prediction of 18th at the end of the season, is still fantastic. 10 points played, 17 points gained. You can see that we're an absolute mile off the pace from where Wrexham are, but that's okay. If you look through things like wage, the average wage for each of the teams, etc., we're near the bottom of that sort of place in the table, so we are batting well above our weight here, which is fantastic. So we're doing great. Today is a bit of a challenge though. We need to sort of deaden the charge of Chesterfield a little bit, which might open the gap even more for Wrexham, but we can't worry about that. We have to try and get the points today and see if we can stay in and around this playoff conversation for later in the season. If we don't manage it this season, it's not the end of the world. I will happily take anywhere top half of the table, to be honest. But if we could just squeeze in there by the end of the season, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it, really? So let's figure out what we're going to be doing for Chesterfield today. So as you'd imagine, the season's going well enough for it to keep the same shape, keep the same style of play that we have been using recently. There is a change in personnel, and that's because Saxon Early is out injured. He's got a couple more days to go, but he has been out for the last couple of weeks. So Silla has come into the side, which has been brilliant, Mo Silla, and he's done okay for us. He hasn't pulled up any trees particularly. 6.75 average rating, hasn't got a goal, hasn't got an assist, but it's just been okay for us. I'm waiting for Early to come back, and then that competition for places, we can rotate him in and out a little bit. I still think Silla is going to be very, very useful for us as we move through the season, but just at the moment taking a little bit of time just to sort of bed himself in. But other than that, the only change from what we've been playing most recently is that Charlie Ball gets a chance up front today. Andrew Neil drops to the bench. They're both scoring goals, but if we go back to the schedule page just briefly, you can see that Charlie Ball has got 2 in the last game. He scored another one there, another one there, another couple in this match, another one at this point against Solihull Moors. So there's a lot of goals coming from Charlie Ball, and a lot of it has been off the bench. So we are giving him a first team chance today. We'll go and check out his stats for the season so far, and you can see he's played 4 starting appearances, 7 sub appearances, got 8 goals so far. If we go and have a look at Neil, you can see that he's had 10 starts, no substitute appearances, 8 goals so far. So they're doing brilliantly well for us. And today we're giving Charlie Ball a chance. So all of that means that for today's game against Chesterfield in the Vanarama National League, we have Roberts in goal, Jones at right back, Richards at left back, Kazoo and Doyle in central defence, Silla, Mundell and Harvey in central midfield, Knowles on the right, Salam on the left and Ball up top with a bench of Stavrou, Morgan, Petit, Duke McKenna and Neil. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So this falls into the category of games again this season where I don't really know what I expect. We're away from home against the second spot in the division, so they're playing quite well at the moment. So I've just used the team talk of we've got nothing to lose. Go out there and show everybody what we've got. And we'll just see how we get on, really. It's going to be possibly a bit tricky, but what I've found so far in this division this season so far is that ultimately on a day where we show up, we can do anything and we're good enough to compete. It's just about whether we can take the chances. And we've seen that Charlie Ball has been very prolific recently. Let's hope that he can pull one out for us today. But it's Chesterfield who have an early highlight at 18 minutes into the game, and they've worked their way down the right-hand side. Goalkeeper was slightly out of position a little bit there, managed to get himself back into where he needed to be, and then the strike cut across goal was a little narrowed wide, and so eventually we've got ourselves our first highlight for ourselves, and it was from a goal kick and a good header on, and Knowles runs onto the ball into the box and then does the same as the Chesterfield striker did and cuts it across goal but narrowly wide. But we've both had a couple of sighters at goal, so here's another chance for Chesterfield to get into the box. Looping header, but there was nobody underneath it other than the goalkeeper Roberts, and he claims it quite nicely. Can he set us going again? The team moves up the field. We tried to play ball in at that point, but it was slightly wayward, and it's Chesterfield to come back with the ball down the left-hand side again. They've dropped it back into their left fullback, and they are pushing us into the box, and they get a chance for a cross, but there is a challenge that comes in from Jones, but it's deemed to be a foul, and we've given away a penalty at the 29-minute mark. Can Roberts save us from this one in goal for us? And he went the right way, almost got there, but didn't quite manage it, and we go 1-0 down after 29 minutes, and we've really kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit, really, by causing our own downfall from giving a penalty. I thought the challenge didn't look too bad, if I'm honest, when I first saw it, but they're obviously, they've made their choices, and we have to kind of go with it. It's made its way all the way back to Ross in goal for Chesterfield, and he goes long out wide left, but it's our right fullback, the guy who gave the penalty away, Jones, who picks the ball up for us, drops it into midfield, then over the top for Knowles, onto Ball, and he does not miss these things. He's a really good striker for us. Him and Andrew Neil are getting a lot of goals for us in rotation in this particular role. At times we might see if we can play both of them up front here and there for the right type of game, but just at the moment in rotation they're both doing great. Fantastic ball over the top. Knowles with a good nudge on to Ball, who finds himself at the top of the 6-yard box, bearing down on the keeper, and he did not make a mistake. And that levels the game at 1-1, leading into half-time. Is there one more highlight before half-time comes? It doesn't look so on this occasion. And we do go in at 1-1. So having gone a goal down, basically from a bit of an error from Jones at right fullback, we've worked our way back into the game, haven't we? Possession is a little bit low, but you'd expect that away from home a little bit. We've had a decent amount of attempts at goal and more on target than they have as well. So all in all, I think we're doing pretty well, and we can tell the players that. Outstretched arms. I'm happy with the performance. Keep it up. There's no reason to change anything just at this moment. There's a little bit of an issue for Silla, who is just finding that the conditioning is a little bit less than others. He's had to play a few games recently in a row just because early hasn't been there to rotate in and out. So we might have to take him out in a little minute or two. So we're at 65 minutes already, and it has drifted a little bit this game. So we are going to go and make that substitution at this point. You can see that compared to everybody else, his conditioning is low, and he has got a yellow card. We've got Petit on the bench though, so he can come in and play that role, no problem for us. So that's the first change that we're going to make. We're going to make a couple more whilst we're here. We are having an issue at right fullback. I do know that the fullbacks are not quite as up to standard as some of the other players are in the team. It's the best I could find, but neither of our right fullbacks are doing particularly brilliantly, it must be said, which is unfortunate, but I kind of understand it. We'll just have to see later on in the series if we can finally find a decent one to play there. I've also bought Duke McKenna on the left-hand side for Salam. Salam has dropped off a little bit recently, hasn't been as prolific in his assists and scoring patterns as he started off the season at, so Duke McKenna gets occasional opportunities, and here is another one for the last sort of 20 minutes of the match just to see if he can impact the game for us. But again, it's Chesterfield working down the right-hand side, slowing the play down, and then they get a very good swivel and shot from the top of the box, and it does go over the top of the bar. I think the goalkeeper probably had it covered, but it was an interesting attempt, wasn't it, from that sort of distance. We're into the last sort of 5 minutes of the game now. I don't really feel the need to change much. We're against a very good side. We've got a very good point coming our way at the moment. I didn't feel the need to go chasing it or causing ourselves any problems. I think that is a good point, well earned in the circumstance that we find ourselves this season. I'm pretty happy with that. But let's quickly go and analyse the game a little bit deeper and see what the statistics suggest. So, as we mentioned at the half-time point, we had a few more shots than they did. We had eventually one more on target than they did. We had the XG rating of 1.36 compared to their 1.51. So, both were on their par, really, in terms of what was expected from us. We had 72% pass completion. That is still a little bit lower than I'd really like, but we're in a higher division now. It's harder to get the passes through. But possession, in the style of play that we have on a counter-attacking sort of system, 42% isn't that bad at all, actually, and it was away from home as well, so all in all not too bad. Ball gets a 7.5, Doyle at the back gets a 7.4. Those two, with the likes of Mundell in midfield, normally are a really good spine for our side. Knowles helped along the way. The rest of them were average today, but they did okay for us, and I did not mean to press that button at all. So eventually I found myself on the right page, having pressed the button and sent myself into a bit of a diver. Anyway, let's go into this a little bit more detail. You can see that the average positions were compact and secure for us. We had a fairly similar line to where Chesterfield were playing in defence. Again, we are a little bit isolated up front. I think I'm going to change the role of the striker, but they're getting goals. Should I do that? I don't know. Maybe it will work for the team's betterment to just drop him in slightly. At the moment they're playing as a poacher. Maybe they need to come and get involved in the play and help bring the whole team forward. I'll have to think about that. What do you think? Would you change it if they're scoring goals themselves, or would you leave it as it is, and maybe the rest of the team have to find a different way of approaching how they impact the game? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Action zones, you can see that Chesterfield had more of the ball. That's fine. It's kind of what we expect away from home in our counter-attacking style. And you can see on this occasion we had a good spread of shots at goal, which was decent, and a couple of very, very key ones, and the likes of Mundell missing from inside the 6-yard box off target is a little bit disappointing. But overall, I think we played well. There's the man of the match, Charlie Ball, who got the goal for us and looked decent, a threat again, which is good for him. If we look at the shots in a little bit more detail, let's just concentrate on our own. Here's our one goal from the side of the 6-yard box. We then have 4 that went off target. And these couple in here are close in enough to really should have been on target, really. We had 6 that were saved, so the goalkeeper had a decent game, and a couple more from very long out, from sort of long distance, should I say, were blocked as well. So all in all, I think our shooting performance could have been a little bit better, but we didn't create too many more gilt-edged chances, did we really? A lot of it was from outside the box. So if we go and have a look at the passing and look at the completed, just because it makes me giggle. Intercepted, not too bad at all. 12 intercepted passes. Couple of longer ones from the back clearing our lines. Don't mind about them, they're fine. Couple of these ones in here though, maybe they should have been a little bit more accurate. We had one that was blocked. We had, again, 83 passes that were unsuccessful. We dismiss a lot of these throw-ins down the right and left-hand side, though. The reason they're there is we're using the long throw. It doesn't work very often, but it does cause a bit of a panic in the box, and we sometimes get something from it. But the rest of these are just going to always be there, I think. And then this sort of pocket of clearances here, clearing the lines, I'm not bothered about. But maybe once we're in this kind of position, there should be one or two more accurate passes getting into this box to get us a couple of key chances. So something that we need to work on a little bit, how we just find a way to get the ball up to our front guys a little bit better. And a couple that went out of play. Not quite sure what was going on there really, but that's okay. And here are our passes that were key passes, and you can see that a lot of them have come from sort of corner kicks and a throw in, possibly a free kick maybe, but they've got into the box and then we haven't quite made the most of them today, but that's okay. Let's go and check out our aerial challenges. I wouldn't suggest that we're a particularly dominant aerial presence at times. I think we're okay, but I'm not sure that we're that spectacular. But let's have a look and see how we've done today. So here are our headers that we've won, a good amount in that central defensive area from the likes of Kazoo and Doyle, which is great. And again, they're out here doing it, clearing the lines from balls over the top as well. So those two have done magnificently well there. Here are the lost headers, the ones that we didn't manage to win, and there's a pocket of them in central midfield. Maybe that's where we're a little bit light in our physicality, maybe. We haven't had any missed headers, and we have had a few key headers. And again, it's all in that defensive unit, clearing the lines. I'm really happy with how the defensive unit is doing most of the time this season. We have had a couple of bad performances here and there, but mostly they're doing really well. And it allows the likes of Charlie Ball to properly go and get those goals for us. And on today's account, we managed to get a 1-1 draw. It was decent enough. I'm happy with that considering who we were playing. And so now it's time to move on. So as we spoke about earlier in the episode, we are through to the FA Trophy and the FA Cup. We're continuing both of those runs. Morpeth in the FA Trophy should be a decent game for us to win. Swindon, they're in League 2. It's above where we are in division terms, but the FA Cup is all about the magic of it, isn't it really? And we struggled last season against a League 1 opponent in Sunderland. Can we go one better this time and take out a League 2 opponent and just keep moving forward in the FA Cup? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to play both of those off camera though, just because we're focusing primarily on the league as we move forward in this particular series at the moment. And we're coming back for Dover. We often do this. We often come back for the last sort of game of the month, as it were. So this time round it was Chesterfield. Next time round it's the end of the calendar year against Dover, just before we go into January. And maybe make some player changes, possibly. Although I wouldn't guarantee it at this point, but if we could find a decent right back, that would be fantastic. So yeah, back for Dover. In between times, lots of Vanarama National League games, a few cup games. Hopefully we can continue to progress in there. But so far, we find ourselves currently sitting in 8th position now, in and around that playoff conversation. At the moment, that is fantastic. I will take it. And let's see if we can just build on that in the next few games. Join me for the next episode and I'll catch you up on everything that goes on. Until then, thank you for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Lots of ways to join the community these days. Through Twitter and Discord, you can support my channel through Patreon and my merchandise store. All the links to those are in the description below. Click that like button on this particular episode if you could. That helps me know you're engaged in the content, but also helps me get seen by lots of other people. Until next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.